G'day guys and welcome to Aussie English. My objective here is to teach you guys the English spoken down under. So whether you want to speak like a fair dinkum Aussie or you just want to understand what the flippin' hell we're on about when we're having a yarn, you've come to the right place. So sit back, grab a cuppa and enjoy Aussie English. G'day guys, welcome to this episode of Aussie English. How are you going? What's been going on? I hope you guys are going well and enjoying your week. It's a Wednesday and I think I'm going to try and release interview episodes each and every Wednesday. So today's episode is with Christian from Canguro English. If you don't know Canguro English, definitely do a search for it on YouTube. The links will be below, but it's Canguro English. So kangaroo there, I think, is spelt the Spanish way. But Christian is an absolutely amazing online teacher. He has his own academy in Spain, in Galicia, I believe, and we have a really good chat today about him, where he was born in Australia, what happened when he moved to Europe, he moved to Spain, and then we also get into the nitty-gritty of teaching English as well as learning English. And there's some really good stuff in there on how to build confidence and speak more confidently. So I know that you guys are going to get a lot out of this interview. Sit back, grab some food, grab a drink, grab a cuppa, get some tea, get some coffee, and enjoy today's interview, guys. Let's go. All right, Christian, thank you for joining me, man. Christian from Canguro English. Welcome to the Aussie English podcast.
Hello. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you very much for inviting me. I appreciate it.
No. I've been dying to get you on for a while. I guess let's just start from the start. Tell me about you and tell me your story. Give me the story in a nutshell. I think it's going to be a good ride.
If only my wife thought so. Okay, the story. Okay, so I was born in Perth in Australia, and when I was 20 years old, I met this English girl who was backpacking in Australia, and she had a 1-year visa. And when that visa expired, she had to leave Australia and go back to England. And so I had to make a decision. I had to make a decision to either stay in Australia and say goodbye to her or go with her. So for the first time in my life, I packed a suitcase and left and went to England. And for me, coming from Perth, which at that time was quite a small sort of city, and then arriving in London was a big shock. And I remember the first morning after I arrived, I opened the windows because I arrived at night, and in the morning I opened the windows, and I turned to my girlfriend and I said to her, what's that grey thing in the sky? What is all that? She said, that's clouds, Christian, that's clouds. But because all of my life I had only ever seen white fluffy clouds, but this was, I called it the sheet of grey. It was just a continuous just grey cloud that just stretched to infinity, and I'd never seen anything like it.
That's crazy.
And then, so basically, yeah, it was, and it was a continuing feature of life in England. So I lived. We lived together in England for 7 years, and then after that, we moved around a lot. We went back to Australia, and then in 2010, we came here to Spain, which is where I now live and work as an English teacher with my own academy. Yeah. Wow. I mean, the story of how I actually started teaching English is a bit, I don't know, one of those happy accidents in life. We decided to buy a house. It was a ruin, an absolute ruin of a house. It just had four walls basically.
No roof.
And we decided no. Well, it had a roof, but not a roof as you and I know it, Pete. It was more of a rustic. Just, I think it was actually asbestos. I'm probably going to die simply from being near it.
So did you just trade it for a tarp? Did you a tarpaulin?
Well, actually, no. Because we bought this house and we decided to renovate it. So then we lived in a caravan for during the renovations, and so we were living in this caravan, and then one night, this set of headlights came down the driveway. And we were like, what is this? Who is this person? I think because it was Spain, it was really late, and in Spain, people will come and visit you at 11 o'clock at night, no problems,
Are they going to take our walls?
Damn gypsies, taking the walls. And so these headlights came down the driveway. A guy came and knocked on the door of the caravan and said, "Hey, I heard that you're English. I need your help because I'm going to work on a boat as I don't know, some sort of technician on a boat, and I need to improve my English. So can you help me?" And that was it. And so I helped this guy with and I knew nothing about the English language,
except for the fact that you're an expert in using it.
Well, this is the thing, and this is a thing as well, and I know that this is off topic, but there are a lot of teachers out there who are not native speakers, who are incredible teachers, and they are discriminated against simply because they're not native speakers,
That's the thing, though. I had a story like that when this is an embarrassing admission. I used to do fencing.
Excellent, tell us.
I used to do fencing when I was in high school, right? So I was training to be.
Wait a second. Do you mean fencing like with swords or putting up fences?
No, swords. Yeah. So I used to do sword fighting, although it's not as sexy and romantic as it sounds. But I remember having a really average teacher he wasn't that skilled, but he was amazing at teaching. And then I also had once a lesson from someone who was a Commonwealth champion, and it was the worst lesson I'd ever had because she could do it, but she couldn't tell me how.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, and there are so many students out there, and all they want is a native speaker. But it's the same as you. I have met so many native speakers who are terrible teachers. Just speaking the language does not qualify you to teach it.
Well,
Absolutely
that's it.
not.
I think the only thing that makes me a good teacher is that I am ready to say that I don't know quite often.
Yeah,
and then I'll go find out.
That's first step to the enlightenment is ignorance. Absolutely.
Hi, Pete. I'm an alcoholic, and my English is average.
I actually have a special technique because every now and again a student asks me a question that and I have no idea. I have no idea why, and sometimes I say I have no idea, but at the end of the day, I'm running a business, so if it's like maybe the first class or the second class, I can't appear to be somebody who doesn't know what they're talking about. So I say, listen, it's complicated. I don't have time to teach you that right now. I'll do it in the next class.
Good cover.
And then when they leave, I can go onto Google and say, what the hell?
That's it. The next day they see you, you haven't had any sleep. You've got everything written down. You're like, it's okay. I can answer your question.
Yeah, but now I understand the subjunctive in English perfectly.
I know, but that's one of those things. It's the funniest thing because it's like, I think students prefer that too because it's honesty and they can see that you're a real person and that you are, you're not trying to put on a facade of being an all-knowing magician. And then also that you can then go away and use that as a reason to work it out and then better learn yourself as a result of having to look it up and understand it.
Absolutely. Yeah, look, absolutely. I mean, every time someone asks me a question and I don't know the answer, I'm learning something. And yeah, it's impossible. I mean, because I've been making YouTube classes for 2.5 years, and when I look back at some of my old classes, occasionally, if someone leaves a comment and says, "Why is that like that?"
Don't
and
do
I
it.
look at the class and
Don't do it, man.
I don't remember. I don't remember. Well, there's that, but I don't remember some of the things that I taught in those classes because if it's not something that you teach all the time, you forget it.
Yeah, yeah.
And you're right. We're not all-knowing magicians. There's a limited amount of things that a person can sort of know, I think.
I know. Well, and that's the
Yeah.
beauty of it, right? And yeah, you have to keep reminding yourself of all these things and keep them fresh in your memory. I mean, I found the same thing as soon as I started doing the live streaming, and I think it was inspired because of your classes. I only started a few months ago
Okay.
on Facebook, but all of a sudden I had this question and answer time, and I was like, the first time that happened, I was crapping myself. Thinking, I'm like, they're going to ask something that's going to seem so simple, and I'm going to be there like,
Well, look, I mean, it is that it's nerve-wracking. But yeah, throw yourself in the deep end, and it's the fastest way to learn. And yeah,
sink or
and yeah,
swim.
like you say, some sink or swim. People will ask you a question you don't know, you find out, and then you know for next time.
Exactly. So
But
how
yeah,
did
so
you?
my
There you go.
well, yeah, I was just saying that my introduction into the world of teaching was just a happy accident because I discovered something that that I know now that I want to do for the rest of my life purely by chance.
It's funny how that
Um,
ends up, right? Like I had the same thing happen with
yeah,
everyone asking me, but you've just, finished all this university study. Why aren't you going to continue that? And it's kind of like, because it doesn't fulfill me the same way that this does. And I don't regret going
yeah,
through all of that because it led me here. If I didn't do all those things, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing.
yeah,
So.
exactly. It's like every decision in your life that you've made until now has led you to this point.
Exactly.
And there's so many people out there that I think that are unhappy in their lives because they're afraid to sort of make a decision that might be against everything that they've done. But if you're listening to this and you're sort of not happy and you're not sure what to do with your life, I really encourage you to just keep trying different things and just hope that one day you do come across something that you love, and that can change your life.
That's it. Especially when it
Be
helps other
brave.
people at the same time. Far out.
Yeah, exactly, and that could be fencing with a sword or fencing with actual fences. you know, um,
Yeah, that's it.
I mean, I mean, how many? Sorry.
No, you go, you go.
Well, how many different jobs have you sort of had in your life?
I've never actually
Um,
had a full-time job, so I've been studying for the last.
awesome.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's my I was sort of freaking out about it. I just handed my PhD in 3 months ago, and I'm waiting for it to come back. And was sort of at that point of my supervisor having all these plans for me and being like, "Well, we'll hook you up with this, and we'll get you a job in France, and you could do this." And I'm kind of like, it's not really where I see myself, to be honest. But like terrified at the same time as telling him. And I remember asking my dad, I was like, "Dad, what do you reckon I should do? Like, I've started this Aussie English thing. I'm absolutely, in love with doing that, and I could spend 18 hours a day doing this for free, and I enjoy it. Whereas doing 2 hours of research kills me." And Dad's like, "Haven't you worked it out yet, Pete? You are not the 9 to 5 kind of dude."
well, that is the thing. I mean, people the same as you. People say to me, you have to stop sometimes. You have to just, take a break and relax. But if you love it, like if it's your passion, then that is leisure for you. That is relaxing and fun, and yeah.
That's it. You want me to take a break and be stressed out?
Because then I'll have to clean the house, and it's that's much worse than just learning about things.
Exactly. So what
Yeah.
happened after the guy obviously came and asked you for help? What was the link between that and then leading all the way up to you having the academy open and be teaching full time?
Well, because I live in the north of Spain. Okay, so when people think of Spain, they think of like flamenco dancing and, Paco de Lucia playing the guitar and sort of really hot weather and beaches. But I live in the north. I live in the island of Europe, basically. Um, it's really green and hilly, and there's really long winters with lots of snow. And because they were invaded by the Celts, then they have basically something which is identical to Irish dancing, but instead of holding your arms down by your side, you hold your arms up in the air. But apart from that, it's the same. It's like Michael Flatley in Spanish, right?
Wow.
And yeah, and they play the accordion. They have a special type of accordion called the gaita, which is, the same. So it's like Ireland in Europe.
Yeah.
And so living in a place like this is like, compared to living in Australia, it's like going back 30 years. So
Don't tell them
marketing is not. No, but like not in some ways, absolutely, literally 30 years, but in other ways, I'm talking about more about the sort of structure of society. So people don't do marketing, online. No one has a website here. No one even really has business.
Still using stone
Yeah,
tools.
no one has business cards. It takes forever to write a letter.
They're still living in that time where people know their neighbours, are they? They still know their neighbours and...
Yeah, I mean, the word of mouth is incredible. Like, marketing is done, word of mouth. So within a month of teaching this sort of guy, word had spread that there was a native English person doing classes, and so soon I was starting to teach some more children from the area, and then we decided to open a small little like school in the nearest town to us, which has a much bigger population, because we live right out in the country. Like, all of our neighbors are cows, basically. So we
their English is horrible, so you've got a lot of work.
Well, it is horrible. Although if you moo at a cow, it does actually moo back at you.
So they're polite cows.
I don't know if they do that all over the world. If someone could test this, if someone, maybe we can ask, Adriana in Croatia, if she can moo at some cows in Croatia and see if they moo back.
See if there's some societal differences.
Yeah, so then I opened a small school, and we used to teach. I remember I used to get super excited when we had 6 children. I was like, wow, we got 6 children, it's incredible. Mm-hmm. But now we teach anybody from sort of 2 years old up to 99 and beyond.
And beyond.
Yeah, we teach. Well, no, I've never had anyone that old, but I'd be absolutely willing to do it.
Doors open. Doors open.
Doors open. If you're over 99, I will teach you absolutely for free. Yeah. So now we teach. We teach hundreds of children, and we have massive groups of adults, and yeah, living the dream. Really, living the dream.
Wow. So what is it like for Spanish speakers in the north of Spain coming to class and learning English? What are the difficulties that they face, and do they all have the same issues, or is it always a different story with every single person that comes in?
I think, strangely enough, the problems are always the same, and that's something which I've realized from doing live classes on YouTube and also doing my Facebook group where people can ask me questions. I realized that actually learners have pretty much the same problems all over the world, as far as I can see.
Phrasal verbs,
but maybe it's phrasal verbs, prepositions, confidence issues. Things like this. I think it's a universal experience. But specifically for Spanish speakers, something which is really odd and really frustrating for me is that they always have excellent grammar. You know, the way the Spanish education system works is it's very heavily based on sort of teaching the technical aspect of the language. But, you know, students can go all the way through primary school, high school, and never actually just have a conversation, like
Yeah,
ever.
yeah.
So, you know, you have students who can explain to me rules that I don't even know about how English works, but, you know, have difficulty introducing fight against that.
Sorry, you dropped out there for a
And
sec. What did you say, sorry?
I mean, and so I fight, you know, every day I sort of fight to convince people that actually grammar is just a part of language. You know, grammar is sort of 20% of language, and the rest of it is all the other stuff. You know, vocabulary, confidence, you know, just being able to express yourself is sort of is the key.
So if you had someone like this come to you right now, sorry to interrupt you, and say, I'm great at grammar. I've nailed this. I know grammar back to front, but I suck at speaking. I suck at you know, communicating. What would be your advice for that person as to how to overcome those issues as of today?
Well, I would say to that person, look, you know, congratulations, because now we can save a lot of time, because now we don't have to do any grammar. It's done. You know, right now, you know all of the grammar that you ever need to know. So that work is done. Congratulations. But, you know, I want you to realize that the only people who really need to know that much grammar are linguists, people who are going to actually use language as, you know, as something to study. But, you know, we've had language for at least 65,000 years.
And longer than that,
and for a lot of that time, you know, it wasn't written down even. It wasn't even written down. It was only a tool for oral communication.
Yep.
And we've only been actually understanding and teaching grammar for you know, a few hundred years. So, you know, let's just remember for a moment why language exists, which is so that we can communicate with each other, express ideas, have conversations, laugh, cry, you know, fall in love. So, you know, the grammar's done now. Now let's focus on that. So tell me a story. You know, let's have a conversation about something you're passionate about.
Exactly.
Let's find out, you know, what you can do if you now go to Australia for a holiday. You know, can you do all the things you want to do? Can you go to the supermarket, and can you buy beer?
That's it. He doesn't care if you get the grammar right. He just wants to know, you know, what are you getting and how much money do you have to pay for it?
Yeah, exactly. So I would, and you know, if that was my student, I would never get a grammar sheet out ever again. We would just spend our time talking, learning vocabulary, things like that. Yeah.
And so what would you say to the student who comes to you and says that they have confidence issues? Because this seems to be a universal trait that even I experience as someone who teaches a language but likes learning languages. What can they do to build confidence or overcome confidence issues?
You know, I think that there's two aspects, right? Because some people are naturally just not confident people, and that's, you know, in their own native language as well. Maybe they struggle, you know, to speak to people in public, and so there's that. You know, there's one aspect which maybe it's your personality, and that's not going to really change just because you're speaking in English. But if you have confidence issues only when you speak in English, you know, I just want to remind you that really nobody cares. If you speak English really badly, nobody cares, and if you speak English really well, nobody cares, because all people want to do is just be able to communicate with you.
It's almost like the better you speak it, the less they care, because they don't even notice, right?
Exactly.
No one walks up to me and says, "Great job, your English is phenomenal."
Exactly, and you know, sometimes it's worse. You know, for me, the analogy is that because I'm a person who, in my day-to-day life, you know, I don't really take a great pride in my personal appearance. Like, I don't care really about shaving every day or how my hair is or what clothes I wear.
Showers
So
once a
when
week. Yeah.
showers, optional. But so what it means is when I do put on when I do take the time to wear something really nice and make myself look good, people are like, "Wow, he looks amazing."
That's
But
a sneaky trick.
if you're a sneaky trick, but if you're a person who looks great every day,
Yeah.
then one day people see you, with hair disheveled, terrible clothes, and they think, "Oh my God, what's happened to him?"
Are you
He's
homeless?
and it's like with your English, you have to, if your English is really good and you have a bad day, it's worse. You want to have bad English and have a good day.
I'm gonna have to
People
start
appreciate
mixing
that
it
more.
up. I'm gonna have to start mixing it up, just start having some off days so I start getting some compliments.
No, I mean, really, no, nobody cares. Nobody cares. All people want to do is communicate with you. And like for example, I remember 10 years ago, I went on holiday in Egypt, and I had a Lonely Planet, and in the back of the Lonely Planet was, the little phrase book, maybe 50 different phrases in Arabic, and they were simple things: hello, good morning, how are you? Please and thank you, and I can't remember the other things. And I memorized maybe 10 or 15 of these phrases, and the people were just blown away. And it's just something so simple and so that requires such little effort for
Hmm.
such a great reward. So if you're a person who can actually have even the most basic conversation in English, then that blows me away to get that far even. And I know that that blows other people away, that other people appreciate it so much, you know, when you can even do the most basic things. So just, look at the positive side, I would say.
That's it. I
That's the
think
key
you're
to
right.
confidence. Yeah.
I think you just have to remember why you're doing it. You're there to communicate, and people like your enthusiasm. If you're keen to really get across to the other person, you don't need to be correct for them to understand. I remember being in France when I was a teenager, and I was a French student there with the class, and this guy chatted to us for like 2 hours, and I didn't understand like 80% of what he was saying, but he just loved it because every now and then, a little bit shined through, and I was like, oh, I actually understood what he said, and so you still have a good time. He's not there thinking, God, these guys are idiots. Like,
Well, exactly. And isn't that just magical when you do get that 20%? It's like, yeah, I understood what he said.
that's it.
Um,
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly. And you have to keep feeding off that. Keep reminding yourself of why you're doing it and what your ultimate goal is. And if it's
yeah, exactly.
so that's it.
Yeah, and I think objective-based goals. A goal should be, can I, for example, can I go to the supermarket? Can I order in a restaurant? A goal shouldn't be, can I control the present simple perfectly? Because nobody
Exactly.
cares about that.
Well, and with
Yeah,
grammar, my sort of, motto is always learn the rules to forget them if you're going to learn them at all. Like,
yeah,
learn to do
exactly.
it, but just learn to do it so that you don't have to think about it anymore, so that you can just ignore it and move on. And
Yeah, I mean, yeah, learning grammar is an essential part of the learning process. You have to do it, but it's not 100% of it. It's just a part.
exactly, exactly, and don't focus
Yeah.
on all of it, right? Like, I think one of the other things I'm really always keen to tell people that I teach privately, I'm always like, just find your holes in, like, I
Mhm.
imagine you putting your language together as a spider web that you're trying to make consistent so that it catches any insect that comes
Yeah.
by, right? Any insect that's a conversation. And if you fill in your holes, which are unique to you, you're going to strengthen it, but you've got to identify where they are. And if they're grammatical, you just find whatever that issue is, look it up, sort it out, move on. And then, don't just read an entire book or focus 100% on just learning
Yeah.
every rule. You probably get 80% of them
Yeah, look,
correct as it is.
I agree with you 100%. I think that's a great analogy, the spider web, and a good teacher, a good teacher can listen to you speaking and say, right, well, I can see you have a problem with, I don't know, present perfect versus past simple, or I can see that you have a problem with using the passive, and that you just focus on that, and the other stuff you don't need to do, you know?
Exactly. And then you'd be like, we'll get
Yeah.
to the other stuff in the future. We'll reassess, find the other problems whenever they
Yeah.
pop up. But
Yeah, exactly.
oh, so what's
Exactly.
next for you then, Christian, with Canguro English? What's the next few steps before the world's taken over and everyone's fluent in Australian English?
uh, um, I think that I am, in general, I'm sort of disappointed with a lot of what I see, as far as teachers and teaching materials, and I think that that is actually what motivates me to sort of do what I do, because, like, when I see, teachers on YouTube spreading misinformation, or I see yet another grammar book, with the same old things that just doesn't work and doesn't inspire students.
Are you the one who's
It
been on
makes
my
me
channel
want
giving me downvotes? Is that's what that's what's been happening?
to. No, like but see, you're the opposite of that. You're like a person. It's all about functional, language, and about more and about also more the learning process, like how to learn. Like I watched your video about the Pareto principle.
Yeah.
You know, 20% of your sort of effort gives you 80% of the reward. These kind of, more. It's almost like, not only do I, you need to teach your students English, you have to teach them how to learn, and about the learning process.
Exactly.
But I think what's next is I would like to see a lot of change in the world of English as a second language teaching.
So for all the English
and I'm going to
teachers,
push for that.
for all the English teachers potentially listening, I know there's going to be so
Yeah.
many of them, but I mean, and for selfish reasons as well, what is your advice for someone who wants to be a successful and useful internet English teacher using the resources that we have today?
I think we the world, the internet has had enough of the same old thing. Like, there's enough grammar classes on YouTube for the rest of time. I'm sure that a normal person couldn't even watch all those grammar classes, and there's enough classes out there about phrasal verbs with this and that, and there's a lot of that. I would like to see more teachers just, man, I kind of lost my mojo for a second there, sorry.
Your train of thought.
my train of thought. I went too deep into myself, and I messed it up.
You're all good.
Okay, let me start my answer again, because I don't know where I was going with that particular thing.
Go for it.
Okay,
Hit restart.
restart. Okay. Yeah. Look, I think I would like to see more teachers fighting back. I know that a lot of teachers are in a difficult situation where they have to fulfill the curriculum of a school, and so the administration tells them, right, you have to do the book. We're going to do these exams, and that's what you have to do, and you're under pressure to do that. And also, a lot of teachers all around the world are not in an ideal situation. They maybe they have big class sizes, or they have students who are not motivated, or maybe they just don't have any resources. And so there's a lot of teachers around the world who are in extremely difficult situations. But I just want to say to them, it might seem radical, but it's really the opposite of radical. Just remember every day that your students in the future will actually have to do something with their English that's practical.
Yeah.
Like, in the future, if they go to a job interview, the person interviewing them is not going to care if they have the Cambridge First Certificate. They're going to actually want to speak to them and hear that they can actually have a proper conversation, that they can deal with their clients, that they can do that stuff. So I think your job as a teacher is to make sure that when they actually leave your class, that that they actually have real skills that they can use. And all the other stuff, it doesn't matter. And actually, at the end of the day, it doesn't help your students. So, I know that you have to do the books. I know that you have to do the exams, but just remember that the reason we have language is to express ourselves, is to communicate, and just really try every day to give your students that power, because that's what's going to serve them in the future. And all of this other stuff that everyone seems to care so much about, it doesn't mean anything.
I think that's a good point to end. Man, that was a good point to make. I don't know where to follow on with that.
Yeah, look, I don't, I'm sorry.
Don't apologize. It was awesome.
Heavy.
That was good. So, I mean, where can all the listeners find out more about you and take their English to the next level using your resources, Christian?
Yeah, look, I have a YouTube channel, Canguro English. I have a Facebook group where people can come and I answer their questions, and they can post videos. And also, like, I don't have any courses. Like, I recommend that because you have courses with materials, and I recommend that people, if they want to do a structured course, they should definitely look at your stuff, because it's it's great stuff. And I think Adriana also, Adriana's another teacher that I think we're going to be working with in the future. She has also lots of online courses. So, so I recommend that for me, like, if you're learning, like, I don't care if you're watching my stuff or your stuff. If you're learning, then I'm happy. I'm a happy man.
Exactly. And that's the whole point, that we're networking, right? Like, you just spread the love, let people find everyone and find the best way for themselves to learn, whether it's with YouTube, Facebook, different teachers, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. And also, guys, don't forget that the internet isn't the only place. I would actually prefer for you to get off YouTube and, go out and have a conversation. Exactly. That for me, that makes me even happier. It's not great for business, but it makes me happy.
And then get back on the internet and tell me how the conversation went.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome, dude. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, and hopefully we can do this again soon.
Yeah, no, look, I'm looking forward to working with you, and I'm excited about the projects we've been talking about. So yeah, it's great. Thank you so much for your time.
Oh man, total pleasure. Thank you, dude. So that's today's interview, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. There should be a great deal of little gems in there for you to go through and pull out and apply to your own English learning adventure, your own English learning story. So yeah, think about how you can apply a lot of the advice that Christian gave in this episode to you in your English every day, learning English, whatever it is. Let's just take it to the next level, guys, and keep improving. Aside from that, obviously make sure you check out Canguro English's YouTube channel, go to his website, make sure you jump on Canguro English's Facebook page and join his group, guys. Just like the Aussie English Virtual Classroom group on Facebook, Canguro English has a group where you guys can join up. He answers your questions, you can submit videos, practicing your English, all the good stuff like that, guys, but just be engaged. Use your English, have a conversation, meet people, and take it to the next level. Anyway, that's long enough for today, guys. Thank you so much again, Christian, for joining me in this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll chat to you soon. Peace out, guys.